Yeah.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
actually like one of the things I wanted to ask you about was just
Yeah.
California, and like you're already giving me some good insight, especially on Sacramento. I understand it's a big state and there's different cultures across it, but like your other boy, Joe Rogan, is kind of leading the charge of like this getting out of California thing. And like, do you see, is that like for somebody who lives in California, are people in California like kind of sensing that? Because it's for me on the other side of the country. Kind of seems like there's definitely like a trend of people leaving the state.
Yeah. So yeah, as much as I'm not a big fan of Joe Rogan, as we talked last time, I'm
Yeah,
sure me and him have maybe different reasons why we might want to leave California. But I do have to say, I love California, and I'm considering leaving. You
really.
know, it's you would think that, for example, right, if
Yeah,
you're in California, you're most likely a Democrat or liberal who
right,
doesn't agree with how Donald Trump has handled the pandemic, right?
right.
But so we have a very liberal government, Governor Newsom here,
Newsom.
and a lot of very liberal, mayors, and yet we've handled this pandemic just as bad in a different way, right?
In a
You can
different
claim
way.
that Trump didn't do anything, but these guys did a lot, but they did a lot of wrong things, and
What
we
kind of
ended
things did
up in
they
a
do? What kind of like I actually I don't think Trump did the worst job with it. It's a hard thing, and he's definitely like everything he says is like comes off like, oh, that guy's a jerk all the time. But I mean, what can you do about it? And then in the beginning, he definitely was kind of like trying to pretend like it wasn't happening. But like that's kind of what I do when I have a sniffle. I like ignore it and I pretend like it's not happening, and then I feel like the rest of my body like complies with it. So I kind of get it, but I mean,
well, so I would say that obviously, you can easily argue that Trump just hasn't done as much as people wanted him to, or doctors, or we wanted him to, right?
yeah,
He's basically didn't just do much where California government did a lot. But what I'm saying is
yeah.
what California government did was also so incompetent that the results turn out to be kind of the same as the federal government not doing much, right?
Yeah.
So that was disappointing because I
What
thought
were
if
what were some of the things that they did? That
well, so for example, they put a this not a curfew but shelter in place and all this,
right.
but people who don't who, like, for example, don't want to wear a mask are perfectly fine going in into places and still endangering everybody else. Like, for example, our cops, like here in Sacramento, they don't wear masks, period. I literally
Yeah.
was, yeah, I just talked to the cop because I was a witness to an accident. And as I was talking to a cop, I was wearing a mask, but he
Yeah.
wasn't, right? So stuff like that. So there's big, like when I go to Oakland, there's tons of huge parties with DJs going on, and cops are just standing there watching. So all these good people who are obeying this are at home, and businesses are going out of business because they can't make
Yeah.
money.
So they put the rule in place, but then like certain
Put the
people
rule in place,
didn't
but
follow
then
it.
enforce it, right? I mean, it's just like with
I mean,
parents and kids.
it's a hard thing to enforce, but
It's actually not.
no.
Listen, here's the thing. If you allow people without masks in your establishment, and if you get caught, let's say 3 times, you lose your license, period.
Okay.
Very easy. I mean,
Wasn't there something in California that was like if you tell on someone you get like a reward or something like that? I heard
no,
of no.
no. I
I
think
don't
if you
know if I
tell them
heard that
something, you get
wrong.
punched in the face lately. I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's
what I
what
was thinking.
happens. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, and it's not just about how they handle the pandemic. Like, for example, if you're running a business here in California, there's a lot of unreasonable rules that all
Right.
favor employees and people who don't want to work, and very few favoring people who work their entire, like business owners, small business owners
Right.
who work
Right.
60 hours a week, trying to provide jobs, trying to
Right.
provide for their families. They always get screwed in California.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's
and then
that's the stereotype. They're like kind of like very left and like not really pro business and like it doesn't work that well. And then the homeless thing, right?
yes,
Do you have homeless people in
all
Sacramento?
the time. Yes, they're not as
Like
aggressive,
it's
and
fascinating. Homeless people are fascinating, I think.
I see that one. I just don't know what the solution is. But
Right.
another thing is, for example, in California, the gun laws are really strict because everybody here believes that guns just kill people and that's all it is, right?
Right.
But if you're a responsible gun owner who's taken classes and consistently trains, and as a matter of fact, usually for example, concealed carry permit owners, especially in California,
Uh-huh.
are the most perfect citizens because you have to have
Right.
no
Right.
criminal record. You
Right.
have to have nobody like that in your household, and you always like afraid to lose that permit. So
Right.
if anything, and you have so much training that you have to take in order to get that permit, that you become not only no danger to the society, you're the person who can prevent a robbery or rape and so forth. But in
Yeah.
California, no one wants to hear that. They're like,
Right.
guns bad, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And the homeless thing. So like, it's obviously,
Back to
obviously,
homeless. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because I just think
Okay.
it's fascinating and like great weather. So that's one thing, I guess. But like I have great weather where I am here, and there's not as many homeless people. There's some downtown, but I hear about it all the time now because people are talking about the California thing. And like, what is it because all the homeless people go there, or is it because what? Why are there so many homeless people in California? Is it because the government allows them to be out there?
So this is a very difficult question, and I don't know the real answer. I think I can only start guessing. But
Right.
overall, and again, like I'm here in the capital of California, we encourage and allow a lot of people not having to work. Right? A lot of people here are and one way or another using government sort of
Yeah.
programs, right? And
Money. Yeah.
yes, some people do need it, okay? But honestly, most people, just like people hold those handicapped parking
Yeah.
permits, just like with them, most people don't need them. And so we almost encourage it's hard to do business and
Right.
work hard here, and it's easy not to do anything and still get paid here.
Hmm.
So I think the homeless is just basically an extreme of the ladder, where people who really didn't want to work, they sort of kind of fall off the wagon. And then, but of course, mental illness and not having appropriate services, a lot of vets that come back with some of the mental health issues, and some of them are physically disabled, but also a drug addiction.
Hmm.
As we know, a lot of people in America are not addicted to drug because they decided to, started using heroin for the fun of it. It's a lot
Yeah.
of people who were on painkillers
Right. I mean,
after
that's a big
surgery,
problem. Yeah.
and they get mismanaged, a lot of them. And then the only way for them they get addicted is to replace that is with actually heroin.
Right.
And we know heroin will end your life one way or another, sooner or
Right.
later.
Right. Yeah. And they need more dosage of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the empathy in California, I feel like it's definitely like gone off the meter. Like empathy's good. Like I'm a nice guy. Like I think most people are. And I feel like in California, yeah, this is just my perception. Like if you bring up guns or if you bring up anything like leaning right, you like get shamed, I feel like. And
Yeah,
that's what it
if
seems
you
like.
are not chanting Black Lives Matter, you're racist. If you believe that you should be able to own a gun and carry the gun responsibly, you are for murdering children, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's our nation is like that.